is it worth owning 6 cars? So I had a sudden realization a couple of days ago where I'm just like reconsidering life. I don't know if it ever happens to anybody else, but I was really reconsidering everything I've done, everything that has gotten me to this point. And like looking back, it was going into college and seeing all these automotive YouTubers pop out and seeing them succeed at such a fast pace gave me the desire to become a YouTuber. And I was always very shy behind camera. I was always just a shy person in general. I've always been very introverted. But over time, this is off tangent, but the fact that I'm doing YouTube videos has made me a much better person today in regards to being more confident, being able to hold a conversation with someone in person, or just talk to the camera with just it's a skill in itself that I think you have to develop. And hopefully if you're watching this and you want something similar, listen up, because we're basically going to talk about how the acquisition of these 6 cars that I currently own has been the biggest financial mistake. It's not a mistake. The biggest financial burden for me over these last 7 years that I've been doing YouTube. And that is because in reality right now, if I sold everything and just got a regular car that I could probably buy for like $3 to $4 grand, something cheap, I think financially I would be at a point where I'm comfortable. But that intuition in the early years of me doing filmmaking and YouTube has led me to a point where I just ended up getting the cars because I thought that's what YouTubers did. So what I was seeing with all these YouTubers back then is they were buying cars, they were doing swaps, they were modifying them, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I would always wonder, like, how the hell do they afford this? Because building cars is expensive. So I pretty much took on the journey to start a YouTube channel myself and kind of figure everything out myself. So one thing I must say about, in regards to positives about owning all these cars is the fact that I think that I did it because I wanted to build a YouTube channel just like the guys before me. And the act of building this YouTube channel has made me into the person I am today. And it has given me life skills that I feel like I could not have gotten anywhere. And even though it's been very difficult especially in the beginning when it comes to building a YouTube channel, is that I'm very grateful that I went through these struggles in that moment to kind of get me to the other side. So I basically was buying these cars because I thought it would be a good idea for content. And one thing I realized over time with building these cars is, one, it's super expensive. 2, it's not easy to even mechanically modify a car. So, there's a lot of action, and the act of filming videos and doing everything, working on your cars, and just kind of making this whole channel is very, very difficult. And I can see why a lot of people quit and a lot of people just end up falling off. I am very stubborn. I believe in myself enough, especially now with just the act of being able to hit, for example, 100K subscribers. But what does that even mean? Because at some point, reaching 100,000 subscribers for me was a complete dream. It was completely out of my league. I never saw myself getting there. But I took that first step to kind of start a YouTube channel. And at this point, I'm at, I think, 93,000 when the recording of this video was. But what I realized, it's not, the number is the goal, but the act of doing it and the person you are becoming because of that is what truly is valuable in this trajectory that I'm basically going through in regards to building a YouTube channel. The person I've become because of this YouTube channel is, I'm very happy, just because I'm huge on self-improvement. I've become more mentally just stronger in regards to being able to control my thoughts, control my mind, just focus on what I got to do. And I feel like I'm going a little bit off topic, but it all comes back down to the act of just ending up with all these cars in my possession, because I once thought that building a YouTube channel meant just buying as many cars as you can and just modifying them. And honestly, all that really made me realize is that as humans, why do we upgrade our car sometimes? Sometimes you start off with a car and then you end up getting a BMW, or sometimes there's always that standard that always rises in regards to cars, and I think we do that naturally as humans. And once you realize that, once you get what you've been wanting for a long time, you kind of lose that like halo effect where it was at one point a really, really cool thing. So right now, like the car I would really, really want is the Nissan GTR R35, and basically daily drive that around. But then I'm looking back now and I'm like, I've literally felt the same exact way at some point in my life with the Evo, with the 3000 GT. And when I got them, it was cool at first, and then I started modifying them, so I thought it was awesome. And honestly, I've really learned to appreciate these cars as a whole, but it doesn't fill that void that you're looking for. So at the end of the day, what I realized with building this YouTube channel is that the channel isn't made up of the cars. The channel is made up of me and the cars. You guys watch this channel because you guys like watching me modify the cars specifically. And that might be because you relate to me in some way, or because you just simply like the way I make content. So what I realize now is that you don't need to have all these cars in your life to build a YouTube channel, or just to be able to feel that void, or that insecurity that people are going to judge you based off the cars you owned. And being around friend groups that either have a lot of money or basically have like a really crappy car that they just get around in, is that I'm mainly looking more at the person as a whole, how they are, and the car might just be an extension of themselves, especially if they're a car enthusiast. So if you have a certain car and I have a certain experience with you, I basically associate you and that car together as one. It's like a personality. It's kind of weird. But what I realize is, like, it's not just about the cars, it's about you as well, and how much of an impact you make in another person's life that basically shares the same interest and hobbies, which is cars, right? So when you go to car meets, you go to car shows, you meet people, you make friendships. A lot of your conception of that person is going to depend on the car they drive, how they modify their car. And obviously there's always going to be a financial comparison, but once you realize that, it doesn't really matter, because there's always going to be something more expensive that you're going to want, you kind of stop caring. So do I see myself keeping all these cars? Honestly, no. I've been really considering selling the RSX lately, and that's just because it's basically a 20-year-old car now. So one thing I must say about owning these cars is that I tend to get either early 2000s or late 90s cars, and they're starting to get to a point where they're just tired. Like, all the cars are tired. The previous video, we pretty much ended up blowing the transfer case on the Evo, which is an extremely expensive repair. And lately, the upkeep with all these cars has been wild. Like, I've been spending a lot of money. Like, the RSX needed an alternator, a power steering pump, the belt, of course, and then the harness started having issues to where my fans weren't turning on. And then it threw a check engine light, went into limp mode, and I was like, dude, what's going on? Like, it's on, it's supposed to be reliable, but it's like, dude, even if it's a known to like Toyota or Honda, like, it's still gonna give you issues at a certain point with age. So that's where maintenance and upkeep basically comes in. So the cars are getting to that point. I'm like, oh crap, like, this is actually getting expensive. Like, it's actually much smarter to have a newer car that's not gonna give me any issues, and I'll save money that way. And it ends up kind of making up for that, right? So when you're really looking into having multiple cars, because I know a lot of you guys on here that watch the channel have multiple cars, I'm not the only one. Just be aware of that. My insurance just went up threefold, literally 3 times as much. I was like, what? So I'm currently looking for another provider to see if I can find a better price. But I've been hearing apparently that insurance prices have been skyrocketing lately, and that comes into effect as well. And the fact that I'm a one-person team and I don't have enough time or just really the energy to drive all these cars all at once to kind of keep them at a level where they're not basically deteriorating. Because, like, for example, the DSM that I'm in right now, the alternator ended up just giving out just randomly, and I haven't driven the car in so long that it's things I could tell, just things are just not, they're just kind of not brittle, but it just, the car feels a little bit more torn down in a way. Like, it's just it's really hard to upkeep the cars, especially if you don't have the proper space for them. So all my cars are basically out and about, and I was like, dude, I really need a shop. And I'm like, okay, I can't really get a shop right now. So it's like, how am I going to do it? Well, I don't know. So all I could say is, at least for me, I'm making these videos to grow as a person and to be able to document my journey, the goods, the bads. I'm not scared to post the L's. I mean, we lost the windshield on the Civic, and we had a fuel leak on the Evo, and then my transfer case just went out on it. So it's like, there's a beauty in documenting all that, and I don't plan on stopping the regular just once a week upload in regards to, like, just the progress on my builds. But I definitely see myself just being more on camera like this, and I've realized that the video doesn't always have to be perfect. It could be a talking video like this, but I'm able to communicate my thoughts that might relate to some of you guys on here. So maybe if you're going through a similar situation, or maybe, I don't know, I'm just kind of trying this out, and I see myself doing this a lot more. So let me know in the comment sections how you guys feel about these type of videos. So all in all, does it make me happy to have all these cars? Yes and no. It's awesome. I'm grateful for them. I believe that everything that has happened in my life to this point happened for a reason, and the act of having these cars now and just thinking about this is, I feel like I'm blessed. But I'm not happy in regards to where I just don't feel like it fills that void as a car enthusiast. Like I feel like I'm a huge car collector. Like I wish I could collect way more cars. I just don't have the space and money for it. So I feel like that void never goes away. There's always like a next level. And the second talking point would probably be the fact that I feel like I did this because I wanted to build up a YouTube channel, because I thought that's what YouTubers did. It's very hard to sell the cars right now because I have gained some sense of sentimental attachment. I'm the type of guy that if I buy something, I usually don't like to sell it. Like I'm only considering it with the RSX. I kind of want to paint it, fix the headlights, reupholster the seats, and then have like a clean RSX, and then just kind of get rid of it. But it's one of those things where it's like I really have to really start thinking about like what cars I actually want. So you can't have too many, but I mean at this point in my life I really have to consolidate and focus on just one build, and just kind of upkeep them properly and be able to build them with better quality, because I have more accessibility to funds versus spreading myself thin throughout all the builds. So yeah, it's kind of where I'm at. But at the end of the day, how I see it is I'm chasing my dream. I believe that building a personal brand in social media is the best way to kind of build something for yourself nowadays. I've worked for other people, I've hated it, and I've always had this as a side creative project that I've liked to do. I sucked at it at first. I feel like I still suck at it today. This video I feel like is not perfect, but I mean hopefully it helps one of or two of you guys. But like if you go see, like I always say this, if you go see my first ever vlog, it's so cringy, man. Like, but I'm grateful for that video because it has taught me to be better behind camera, and it's grown a sense of a personal brand for myself of who I am, what I do, what I like. And I know there's people out there in the world that are just like me. So if you're just like me trying to chase your dream with building a YouTube channel, keep going. It's tough, it's hard, but you'll figure it out. Just follow your intuition. If you want to buy more cars, and you got to do it for the content. What I'm learning now, it's like almost reaching like almost 100,000 subscribers. It's not the amount of videos you could put out, it's the type of videos that you can basically put out. So you want to focus more on the videos that are going to actually generate an audience. So I feel like this video is very specific, but it's going to attract a certain audience that wants to see these type of videos that maybe you don't see with YouTube channels that are just focused on the cinematics and the vlog and stuff like that. So my channel has always been, it changes a lot because I always choose to do different styles of content, but I think right now in my life there's definitely going to be a change in regards to doing more like this. So